As the gun debate continues to rage across the country, one teenager is fighting back against the Anointed One's all-out assault on the Second Amendment. 15-year-old Sarah Merkle made headlines recently when she testified against gun control legislation before Maryland lawmakers. Now her words left them speechless, and the video immediately went viral. Take a look.
Ever since I first learned how to shoot, the issue with gun violence around the nation became clear. Guns are not the problem, people are. Purging our society of violence and murder cannot be done through gun control legislation. By signing this legislation, you are not signing away gun violence, but instead liberating American citizens of our constitutional rights. You are not eliminating guns from society, but eliminating our ability to protect our lives, liberty, and pursuits of happiness. Chicago, Illinois has had some of the strictest gun control laws in America enacted for the past few years, and it is currently more than twice as likely for you to be killed in Chicago as in the Afghani war. Is that really something we want to model our state laws after?
And joining me now is Sarah Merkle herself. Sarah, welcome to the program. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, let me start and ask you a basic question. When did you get involved in the issue? When did you start, for example, shooting guns?
Well, I started shooting guns when I was 8 years old, and that was the first time I just went to the range with my dad. It was just a casual day, and we started shooting. I wasn't old enough to really get into shooting at that point, so after that I didn't do much shooting until I turned 10 or 11 and that's when I could first hold my AR-15, and then I started competitively shooting since then.
You know, the thing that's frustrating to me in this big debate, Sarah, is that I listen to the arguments. None of these so-called solutions would have prevented what happened, the tragedy that happened in Newtown. You know, here you are, 15 years old. You get that. Why do you think that this is being used in an issue to control people's guns when, in fact, it's not going to solve the problem? I would put armed former policemen, retired military people in the schools, and they'd be armed, and we'd protect our kids the way we protect our politicians, our athletes, and our money.
I really don't have an answer for your question. That's one of the reasons I went down to testify, is because I don't understand what they're doing. They're criminalizing law-abiding citizens when really it should be the criminals who, especially those who have already been incarcerated, that they should be going after. One of the bills I spoke on, in fact, was Senate Bill 533, which was Nancy Jacobs' bill, and that was proposed to allow school employees to be able to have special carrying permits on school grounds so that they could protect their students.
Yeah, well, obviously that would be a solution. We protect our money, our Hollywood stars, our politicians, you know, and we all do it with guns. Why not do it for the case of the kids? I don't know if you heard about this case today. We had 14 kids down at this campus down in Texas that were stabbed. 2 are in critical condition. I haven't heard one person come out today and say that we need knife control. Do you think there's some hypocrisy there?
I think there is. That kind of piggybacks along what I was saying in my testimony with the 22 children who were stabbed in China. I understand that a couple of people brought up to me that none of them died. Well, if you look at the case and you actually go through it and read the stories, the man wasn't planning on killing any of the children that he stabbed. He cut off, it sounds terrible, but he cut off fingers and ears and went for smaller things than actually hurting and really injuring them to the point where it'd be fatal. All
right, so you shoot competitively. You shoot at a very high level. I was a pistol marksman when I was a 12-year-old kid. I learned when I was pretty young. For example, Joe Biden said that maybe people should just shoot through a door with a shotgun, and people seem to have this really, really evil impression of an AR-15, but I own AR-15s. And I guess the question I would ask you is, which gun do you think would be, if somebody gets trained in the use of a gun for protection, which would be better for somebody to use?
Well, an AR-15 is much more accurate, I would say. It's easier to shoot, both with recoil and just the size of it. A shotgun was actually the first thing I ever shot when I was 8, and it did knock me back a little bit. So for a lot of smaller people out there who are small-frame people who are trying to defend their homes, they wouldn't be able to. I actually, when I went to Annapolis, I spoke to a couple who said that the wife couldn't even shoot a pistol because her hands were too small. So the AR-15 is really the only practical weapon that she could use.
Yeah, well said. You know what? Good for you. And the fact that cosmetic differences, one gun would be banned because it has a pistol grip or some other cosmetic addition to the gun, and it's the same gun as one that's not banned, just shows how ignorant they are in guns, doesn't it?
I think so.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate you being with us.